Back in 2007, San Francisco was one of the most expensive cities in the United States. Young designers Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia had recently moved there and very quickly realized they couldn't afford their rent. They needed cash, fast. No investors, no business plan, no savings. Just the pressure of bills they couldn't pay. One night Joe saw an opportunity. A huge design conference was coming to San Francisco, and every hotel room in the city was completely booked, not a single vacancy. He turned to Brian and said, "Why don't we rent out our place? We could set up an air mattress or two." That moment changed their lives. They bought 3 air mattresses at a local store, set them up in their living room, and created a tiny website. They called their new idea Air Bed and Breakfast. The idea was simple: offer travelers a cheap place to sleep and a homemade breakfast. To their surprise, 3 guests booked instantly: a 35-year-old father from Utah, a woman from Boston, and an Indian man who was the last guest without hotel space. They weren't expecting much, maybe just a place to crash, but they ended up bonding with Brian and Joe, sharing meals, exchanging stories, and actually becoming friends. And that's when Brian and Joe realized something huge. People don't just want a place to stay, they want an experience. They want connection, belonging. This wasn't just a room, it was hospitality on a human level. The founders wanted to turn this into a full business. But there was a third piece to the puzzle: a programmer named Nathan Blacharczyk, who joined as the technical co-founder. Together, the 3 of them built a more polished website and officially launched Airbnb. But almost instantly, they hit a brick wall. Investors didn't get it. Over and over, the answer was the same: nobody will stay in a stranger's house. They were laughed out of meetings, ignored, or told their idea was too weird. They maxed out their credit cards. Their bank accounts dropped to almost nothing. They were close to giving up. Then came one of the strangest business moves in startup history. It was 2008, election season. Brian and Joe had an idea. What if we make collectible cereal boxes? So they created Obama O's for Barack Obama supporters and Captain McCain's for John McCain supporters. They bought cheap cereal, repackaged it in limited edition, custom boxes, and sold them for $40 each. And unbelievably, people bought them. A lot of people. They made $30,000, which kept the company alive and paid off their debt. But even more importantly, the cereal stunt got them noticed by the startup accelerator Y Combinator, which finally gave them the first real funding they'd ever received. One of the investors famously said, "If you can get people to buy $40 cereal, you can get people to stay in each other's homes." But there was still a massive problem. Most Airbnb listings had terrible photos. Dark rooms, blurry phone images, ugly angles. They looked like haunted houses, not inviting rentals. So the founders flew to New York with nothing but a camera. They literally went door to door, photographing hosts' homes themselves. They spent days taking high-quality pictures and uploading them manually. Almost overnight, bookings tripled. That was the turning point. Hosts started joining from other cities. Travelers started picking Airbnb over hotels. The company began to grow, slowly at first, then suddenly like wildfire. By 2011, Airbnb had expanded internationally. By 2014, it was valued in the billions. Today, it has millions of listings and has fundamentally changed how the world travels, all without owning a single hotel. What began as a last-minute attempt to pay rent evolved into one of the most disruptive companies in modern history. From 3 broke friends, to 3 air mattresses, to a global tourism revolution.